The silk curtain barely moved, but she felt him watching. Ginli stood still. Her breath caught in her throat as the eunuch whispered, "The Emperor chose you." She wanted to speak ase, what that meant, if she'd return tomorrow, if she'd survive the night, but her voice was swallowed by the weight of the palace walls. The room shimmered with the scent of rosewater, and yet she could taste iron in the air. It wasn't perfume, it was fear. Outside, concubines in crimson robes knelt in neat rows, eyes trained downward, faces unreadable. No one smiled. No one spoke. The silence of the forbidden palace was never persit was a warning. 3 days earlier, Ginli was scrubbing laundry beside her mother in the outer city when a man in gold-threaded robes pointed at her. "That one," he said. By dusk, she was stripped, bathed in goat's milk, and handed over to the Ministry of Rites like a ceremonial object. She had no say, no goodbyes, no name, just a number concubine candidate for 7. Now, she stood in the Emperor's chamber, lit by jade lanterns and shadowed by centuries of secrets. He hadn't spoken yet. He sat behind a veil of smoke, watching her, like a god might study a storm. She was 17, he was 5 and married. "I heard you play the guqin," he said at last. Her mouth was dry. "Yes, Your Majesty." "Then play," he said. A servant placed the lacquered instrument before her, its strings gleaming like spider silk. Her fingers trembled, but she played. Each note told a story of stolen years, vanished youth, a mother's broken sobs. And the Emperor listened, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he didn't clap, he only nodded. "You may stay, stay." That word changed everything. By morning, Ginli was no longer a candidate. She was now consort, land 5th rank concubine. She was moved to a private chamber with a copper mirror and embroidered sheets. Eunuchs bowed when she passed. Servants whispered behind her back. And everywhere, eyes. The other concubines noticed her instantly. They had smiles that never reached their eyes. One brought her soup that smelled like almonds. Another gifted her a comb, carved with snakes. Ginli thanked them all, but trusted none. In the Forbidden City, kindness had a price. Lady Su, the Emperor's second consort, summoned her by week's end. Her chambers were lined with rare books and painted screens, each more exquisite than the last. But Su's beauty was sharper than her voice. "I was like you once," she said, sipping tea. "Young, talented, loved." She leaned in, but the Emperor's love is a flame. It burns brightly, then leaves ashes. Don't mistake warmth for safety. Ginli bowed. "I serve the Emperor's will." Su's lips curled. "We all do, child, until we don't." Later that night, Ginli was summoned again, but not by the Emperor. This time, it was the Empress herself. Her chambers were cold. No music, no perfume. Just a stone floor and the quiet hiss of incense. "You played well," the Empress said, without looking up. "But do not play with fate. Every note you pluck rewrites the balance here." Ginli kept her eyes down. "You are favored now, but favor is fleeting," the Empress continued. "Remember this. The Emperor may hold your hand, but I hold your future." The message was clear. From then on, Ginli's life unfolded like an intricate dance of silent wars and whispered alliances. Every smile she gave could be mistaken for arrogance, every tear for manipulation. And the Emperor, he was as warm as spring one day, and as distant as winter the next. But what terrified Ginli more than anything else was what she began to feel. Not just fear, not just survival, but affection. She started waiting for the sound of footsteps in the courtyard. She memorized the scent of the Emperor's robes. She started to care. One night, when he touched her hand and said, "You remind me of someone I lost," her heart cracked open like a fruit in bloom. But palace walls don't protect hearts, they trap them. It was spring when she heard the whisper, "They're poisoning your tea." She dropped the cup instantly, her hands shaking. The warning came from Lian, a mute servant assigned to clean her room. That night, Lian returned with a scrap of silk. Inside, a message scrawled in ash. "Run if you can, or play the part until you can't. But run where? There was no escape. The forbidden city was a maze wrapped in silence, and she had already become a piece on the emperor's board. Then one evening, she saw it, a shadow near her door. Not the emperor, not a servant, a stranger in royal robes, holding a daggernot toward Herb in defense. "Who are you?" she asked. He removed his mask. He looked like the emperor, but younger, fiercer. "I'm his brother," he said. "And I know what they plan to do to you." Gimli's world turned upside down. Gimli didn't move. The man standing before her, half in shadows, half in moonlight, looked too much like the emperor. The same jawline, same eyes, but sharper, more alive. As if he hadn't yet been drained by the palace's quiet cruelties. "I'm Prince Shen," he said, his voice low. "And you're not safe here." She searched his face, looking for deception. "Why me?" "Because he chose you. Because she hates that he did." "The Empress." "Lady Sue ordered the poison," he continued. "But it was the Empress who approved it. They're working together now." Gimli sat slowly on the edge of the bed. Her fingers dug into the embroidered mattress. "Why are you telling me this?" He hesitated, then stepped forward. "Because you're not just another concubine. I watched you play the Guqian the night he first summoned you. You weren't performing. You were praying. Every note was a plea." She didn't know what to say. No one had seen her that clearly before. "Will he protect me?" she whispered. Prince Shen looked away. "He doesn't know how. He thinks affection is enough. But love without protection in this place is a death sentence." She stood. "Then what do I do?" "You disappear." It was impossible. No concubine ever left. Once chosen, the only exits were death or exile. "There's a servant door in the Hall of Chrysanthemums," he said. "Midnight? Be there. Don't bring anything that ties you to the palace. No jewelry, no silk, just yourself." Gimli swallowed. Her heart screamed for her to say yes. Her fear begged her to stay. But staying meant becoming something she wasn't. Something hollow. That night, she wore the plainest robe she could find, coarse cotton, no embroidery. She combed her hair back into a servant's knot. She left behind the Guqian, her perfumes, her title. When she reached the hall, she found Prince Shen waiting beside the half-open panel door. "Are you sure?" he asked. She nodded. They slipped through the corridor like ghosts. Past rooms where secrets slept behind golden doors. Past the lotus pond where the emperor once kissed her hand. Past 1,000 silent statues carved in the names of men who ruled and women who vanished. Then came the shout. "Stop!" A eunuch, then another. Then 5. Prince Shen drew a blade. "Go," he screamed. "Run to the stables." She bolted, the cold stone burning beneath her bare feet. Behind her, metal clashed with metal. She heard a cry but didn't know if it was victory or pain. The stables loomed ahead like salvation. An old stable hand saw her and froze. "Please," she gasped, "help me." He looked around, then pointed to a grey horse. "Take her, she's fast. Ride west, don't stop until the sun rises twice." She mounted, heart thundering. Behind her, bells rang. The palace had a woe. And as the gates grew smaller behind her, Gimli didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just rode through fields of sleeping lilies and forests soaked in moonlight until the golden prison became a memory. She didn't know what became of Prince Shen. She would never know, but in some quiet part of her soul, she believed he lived. That he found his own way out. Years passed. In a village nestled between 2 rivers, an old woman played the Guqian by candlelight. Her fingers, though stiff, still remembered the song that once changed her fate. Children listened. Mothers wept. Men closed their eyes as if the music let them taste something lost. They called her the Widow of the West. No one knew her past. No one asked. But sometimes, a messenger from the city would pass through. And once, just once, he bowed before her, left a note on her table, and disappeared. The note read, "I built a garden where we once met. It's full of plum blossoms. I call it Land Pavilion. It always blooms, Even in winter, it was unsigned. She placed it beside her gukine, and played a different song that night, one not of pleading, but of peace. In the Forbidden City, her name was erased. No record remained of Consort Lan. History forgot her, but the garden remained, a quiet rebellion blooming with every spring. If you felt her story, if you saw her, escape not as running, but as rising, then don't let her name disappear again. Like this video, share her story, leave a comment to remember her voice, and subscribe for more untold truths hidden behind palace doors. Let the world hear what history tried to silence